Welcome. I'm glad you're here with me today. I hope your week is off to a great start. We are about ready to oversee millions of realtors adapt to these commission changes, and I cannot believe that they are almost upon us. So really interesting times indeed. I have a lot to go through today because as I think through what's happening in the industry and how, some folks think that this is no big deal, just kind of a little bit of procedural change. Others are just absolutely terrified. I think that what we can all agree on is that buyers are in need of representation. Buyer representation is not going away, and things are just changing. And so amidst that change, I have some tools and resources that are going to really help you navigate those changes. And that's really what I want to talk about today, is just navigating change in general. Maybe you saw the Redfin report that in June, we had a record number of purchase contracts nationally that canceled. It was about 15%. And that is extremely high. In fact, the highest point prior to that was just when COVID broke and a lot of people were just nervous, uncertain, backed out of purchase contracts. And so we saw a high then. But what we know is that 15% is really high. So a lot of buyers are getting cold feet. They're backing out. We see homes sitting on the market a little bit longer. We see record number of price reductions. And so just a lot of change happening. And today I want to tool you up and give you the resources that you need to navigate these changes and really have a ton of success in your business. Because as I have said time and time again, I believe that what we have in front of us is a once in a generational opportunity. So glad you're here with me today. Towards the end of today's call as well, I'm going to share something, just a brief moment of something we have been working on for you. You're going to love it. You're going to want to get tooled up for this because it's pretty darn incredible. We're going to talk a little bit about how historically the elections have impacted real estate. It is upon us. There is a lot going on. July was probably one of the most chaotic months in a presidential cycle that I have personally witnessed in my lifetime. Absolutely crazy. How is this impacting real estate? We're going to unpack that. Adapting to commission changes, and I'm going to share with you how you can leverage our cash buyer program to really bring a unique value proposition out into your marketplace. First, let's take a look at how presidential cycles have impacted real estate in years prior. So what I know is history is cyclical. It repeats itself. And so how better to look towards the future than to analyze the past? So let's review some data. What we see here is that in October and November, we always see a seasonal dip in home sales, typically around 9.8%. However, if you go back election cycles and you look at that dip, we see that in October, November, leading up to the election, home sales dip even more. So on average, historically, they've went down 15% in those months leading up to that election. What does this mean? This means that the next few months could be a little slow as buyers are feeling a little uncertain about everything that's going on. And instead of making that move and signing that purchase contract, they take the wait and see approach. Is this beneficial for them? We're going to look at that in just a moment. So here's something else that I think is so powerful, and you got to be sharing this information and this data with your marketplace. If you're a buyer on the fence, wouldn't you like to know that home sales went up in 9 of the last 11 U.S. presidential elections? So you can see here that the year following an election cycle, home sales are going up. They went up in every year except for 1981 and 1989. But if you look at this, this is a very compelling and powerful indicator that after an election cycle, we tend to see more home sales. Now, what about home prices? Well, those go up as well. So I got the same slide there. There we go. Home prices go up even more. So if you look at the election cycles, 7 of the last 8 of them, the year following, home prices went up. So if you're a buyer on the fence right now, I would just encourage you to really look at this information and to make a decision sooner rather than later, because if not, you could be paying more money for a home if you wait until next year when everybody jumps back into the market because they're feeling a little bit more certain about things and maybe, not feeling as disrupted by what's happening in the election cycle. Here are new home prices. They also went up. And so the indicators are that after the election, sales go up, prices go up, new home prices go up. Look at this. In 10 of the last 11 presidential cycles, home prices went up. The only year it didn't was in 2009. That was following 2008. And most of us can remember what happened during that time frame. It was the great financial crisis. There was a foreclosure tsunami and prices were really depressed. So makes sense that they were lower in 2009. But for every other cycle prior to that, from 1981, new home prices also went up. This is telling a story here, and I hope you're picking up on it, and I hope that you're already thinking of ways that you can share this information within your network to inspire those conversations and inspire people to make good decisions with their real estate. Because I believe if you're in the market to buy and you wait, you are likely going to be facing more competition, higher prices, and that may not be great for you. Okay, what about mortgage rates? So we know that they're coming down ever so slightly. And talk of the town is that the Fed will cut rates in September when they meet. Will they, won't they? Who knows, right? But what we do know from history is that mortgage rates leading up to the election decreased in 8 of the last U.S. presidential cycles. So if you take a look at this, you can, pretty much you can see how history has played out. You can kind of see where things are headed. And what this likely means is that we're going to see rates come down a little bit. Now, this is an interesting time because if you have a buyer that's looking to make a move, it could be a perfect opportunity for them. Because as we saw in a few slides previous, we know that sales tend to drop a little leading up to the presidential election. We know that rates come down a little. So this could be a perfect opportunity for those buyers that are on the fence to make that move. You can inspire these conversations, share this data with them. And later on in today's call, I do have video scripts for you that you can use to make content to share out into your network. So I'll share those in just a few moments. But 19% of buyers, which is really low, 19% of buyers, and this is the Fannie Mae Home Purchase Sentiment Index, which just came out a couple weeks ago, about a week and a half ago. And this is June data, right? So they report a month behind. So June data showed that 19% of consumers said that now was a good time to buy. That is so low, but it's up. It is up from May. It's up 9% from May. So sentiment is increasing ever so slightly in a positive direction. Still, more believe it's not a good time to buy than believe it is a good time to buy. But the sentiment does seem to be shifting. And you can see how if rates come down a little bit more, it could create a perfect opportunity for buyers to get back in the market and get that home. So here are some other findings from that Home Purchase Sentiment Index. We looked at the buying conditions. Selling conditions, though, those are also up. So 66% say now is a good time to sell versus the previous month when only 61% thought that. So we do see that going up. Here's the thing. Sentiment shifts and we have lagging indicators of what that is. You know more than ever what that sentiment is in your local market. You're talking to sellers, you're talking to buyers. And if you can use this data based on history of what has happened in these presidential elections, I really believe it can help people make good decisions, right? What are we as real estate advisors? We are just professional mind maker uppers. We help people make up their mind, help them weigh all of the different, conditions and options and factors so that they can arrive on what is best for them. How are we going to adapt to commission changes? One of the things that I think is obviously clear is that many of us do an amazing job when we're representing a buyer, when we're representing a seller. But fewer of us are really good at articulating our value proposition to buyers, to sellers. I want to focus a little bit on buyers today because here in my MLS, I am in the Phoenix market. So I'm a part of Arizona Regional MLS and the Arizona Association of Realtors. Starting August 1st, all of our commission changes will be in effect. So all of our forms have been revised. The commission field is coming out of the MLS. I know there are other MLSs around the country that already are adopting and implementing the new practices. And the deadline is August 17th. So by August 17th, we're all going to be operating within the new set of rules and parameters. But one of the biggest things I think that realtors struggle with is articulating their value proposition to their client. And so I wanted to touch for a moment on how you can really add another tool to your tool belt, how you can really articulate your value, bring something different and new and unique to buyers that they don't otherwise have access to. So we're going to talk just for a moment about how you can do that and how you can articulate this specific value proposition to buyers and really inspire conversations. You know, one of the things that I fear most about the commission changes is that it almost disincentivizes a lot of us to really serve buyers. And what we know here at Zoodealio is most realtors right now are looking to shift to working with more sellers and having a seller-focused business, which I wholeheartedly agree, and I absolutely think that you must do that. On the other hand, though, I see that the buyers, especially the underserved, especially the first-time home buyers, maybe marginalized minority home buyers, I feel for them because in the midst of all of this, I think that they will be underserved. And I do fear what the future looks like when agents maybe aren't doing as much outreach or education around buying a home. Because ultimately, I believe we inspire conversations. We inspire real estate conversations on the daily. We inspire buyers who otherwise may not have believed that they could buy a home. We've all had that buyer that we've helped get across that home buying finish line. And we know that without us, they wouldn't have otherwise been able to do it. And so I do worry about the future of what that buyer representation looks like and how many buyers may not buy or may not be inspired to do the things that they need to do to put themselves in a financial position to buy, because us as advocates won't be out there by and large how we have been in the past, really promoting buyer representation. So I worry about that a little. And because of that, I think that it is our ethical obligation to share the different options and tools that are available to buyers that do help us articulate a new and different value proposition to them. And so I want to talk a little bit about our cash buyer program. So here's the data around cash buyers. Cash offers are 4 times more likely to be accepted over a financed offer. This is Redfin data. And so when you are a cash buyer and when you're out there and you're making all cash offers, you are taken more seriously in the marketplace. Not only that, I believe this is one of the most compelling data studies that was ever done on resale transactions. It was a study done by the University of San Diego, California. And what the researchers did is they went back over 40 years of historical residential resale transactions, and they analyzed these transactions, and they analyzed the financed buyers, and they analyzed the all-cash buyers. And what they found historically from the past 40 years is that on average, a cash buyer received an 11% discount over a financed buyer. This is so compelling. 11% is sizable. And so as you think through the negotiation position, as you think through the financial position that you can put a buyer in by taking advantage of the cash buyer program, you can see why this is probably one of the most compelling data studies done on the power of being an all-cash buyer. So here's how this works. So our cash buyer program is designed for buyers that are purchasing their next home but need to get a mortgage in order to purchase the home. Here's how it works. It's pretty simple. So what they do is they get cash approved. So in the Zoodealio network, and I'll show you how you initiate this here in just a moment, but in the Zoodealio network, we partner with lenders that offer this program to your buyer. So once they get cash approved, which does take a little bit longer than a typical pre-approval. So in a cash approval scenario, you're probably looking at 3 to 5 days for that full cash approval. So keep that in mind. They're going to do a comprehensive look at this buyer's complete financial picture. They're going to pull their credit. They're going to get the documentation that they need, and they're going to review everything and make sure that this buyer is cash approved. Because once they say you're cash approved, guess what? They are putting their money on the line on behalf of the buyer, because that's how it works. Once you get that cash approval, you go home shopping with your buyer. Once you find the home that they want, then what happens is the lender will purchase that home in cash on behalf of your buyer. So think of them as a proxy buyer. They will purchase the home in cash. It's kind of like calling dibs. It's saying, hey, I want dibs on this house. And in addition, because now you are negotiating with the power of cash, you can get your buyer a better deal. You can negotiate better concessions. Oh, guess what? Here is also a way you can ensure that you get your commission paid. By taking advantage of this program, it gives you so many different resources and options and ways to structure the deal to make sure that that buyer can get into the home that they want, maybe negotiate down a better rate for them, closing costs, negotiate a concession so your commission can be paid. It is so beautiful. I think it's going to be a game changer for a lot of buyers, because this is just another tool for them to accomplish the goal of home buying without having to worry about that extra fee for your services. So once you identify the home and you negotiate that home, the lender will make that offer on your buyer's behalf. The escrow period will follow. There's no appraisal done during that escrow period. They buy it in cash. After they buy it, buyer completes their loan processing. It's a very quick process. Usually it can happen in about 14 days. So lender buys a home, about 14 days later, buyer is signing their loan docs and moving in. We talked a little bit about the commissions and how it's really cool, because this is one of the ways that you can structure a deal to include your commissions in there. As you can imagine, sellers, especially when they're seeing record cancellations, we're seeing more inventory come on the market, we're seeing homes sit a little bit longer, we're seeing more sellers take price reductions. So in this environment, sellers are more likely to negotiate and to give a better deal because it's because it's a cash offer and not a financed offer. So there is a fee for this program. And the good news is it's relatively low. I believe it is a steal. So it ranges, depending on who's offering the program, anywhere from 1.5% to 2.5%. On average, you're going to see about a 2% fee for this service. So that means that there is a cost to it. This can many times, though, also be included in the deal. So it's not out of pocket, it's included in the deal. So beautiful how you're able to go out there, negotiate with the power of somebody else's cash, make things happen for your buyer that otherwise couldn't happen, and ensure that you get paid a commission. I don't know about you, but I love it. I am loving this. So here's how this works. So if you have a buyer that you would like to get started in this program, it's really simple on how you do it. That would be the next slide. Real quick though, our network for the cash buyer program, it is increasing. It has increased in the past couple months. We've added more coverage. As soon as these commission changes were coming down the pike, we knew that we needed to bring this program to as many of you as possible. So here are the states that we currently have coverage in. You can see it's a lot of markets, a lot of states. We are looking to increase that, so we're working continually to expand our network. Here's how it stands today, and you can see that on the screen. And then how you initiate this process is really simple. So you would just load up your client into Zoodealio, and from the dashboard, you can see the Buy Your Next Home in Cash tile. You would just click that Get Cash Approved. As soon as you click that, it's going to initiate the ping to the lender, and they will get in contact with you about the program. So also, I want to give you another resource that you can use in your buyer presentations. And maybe you can use this to make content around. Maybe you can, incorporate some of this into your listing presentations as well. So we have for you a PDF of all of the different cash offer options. And I'm going to kind of zoom out a little bit, but I'll give you the link to this document. It is a Canva template. So if you don't like the colors, you don't like the artwork, you can easily switch this out and just do with it as you please. But on the other hand, if you want to keep it simple, you can grab this, incorporate this right into your buyer presentation. You'll see here we have an overview of the cash buyer program, just letting buyers know how it works and letting them know the potential for this program and why they should consider it. So again, another value add for you. So as you're shifting and navigating these changes, you've constantly got to be thinking about what is that unique value that you bring to the marketplace that nobody else does. And I think that we oftentimes get overwhelmed by what these could be when in reality, you already have so many unique differentiators. And being a part of Zoodealio and having access to the different offers and options for sellers, for buyers, is also part of your unique value proposition. So keep this in mind. I'm going to go ahead and drop this Canva template link in the notes right now. You'll also see that there's kind of an explainer for all of the different authors. So you can use this as a resource for your business. Next, I want to show you just some simple video scripts that you can use in your business. I think that the election cycle is definitely causing a lot of uncertainty. And because of that, most people tend to just kind of freeze in the face of uncertainty. And so how that shows up and how it's historically showed up is sales kind of drop, right? We saw that sales go from dropping, about 10% to 15%. It's not huge, but they do drop a little bit. But the benefit to buyers of taking advantage of this time and space is that they potentially will enjoy a lower interest rate and they will potentially enjoy lower home prices, less competition, because we saw historically what happens after the election. And so I think that these video scripts are going to be just clutch for you to be putting out in the marketplace right now. And maybe when a lot of your peers are shifting their focus or really don't know what to say or aren't saying anything at all, you can be the one leading these conversations by still bringing that messaging to the marketplace that resonates, that makes sense. So I have a couple video scripts for you. 2 of them are buyer focused. 1 of them is seller focused. Here's the first one. It is buyer focused. And what I would suggest doing is a green screen type video. Those perform really well. In fact, I'll be doing one of those here soon using the same data, but have that chart and you're happy to, use my slides, turn that into a green screen to where it's behind you and you're talking over that green screen, explaining the chart and what they're seeing. And essentially the video script is really simple. You may be surprised at how presidential elections impact real estate. Here's what happens. Interest rates tend to go down in the months leading up to a presidential election, which is great news for buyers who act now. But for those who wait, history shows you'll end up paying more money and experience more competition. If you're thinking of making a move, let's connect and go over all your options. So this is a video script, but as you can see from the messaging, this could just as easily be a text, an email, a Facebook message, and you could just as easily send those out with that chart showing what happens with mortgage rates, what happens with home sales, what happens with home prices. All right, here's another one that is also buyer focused, and this has to do with weaving in the cash buyer program. If you're thinking of buying a home, you've got to check out our cash buyer program. With this program, or what this program does, is turn your financed offer into a cash offer, giving you a competitive advantage on the other offers, on price, and seller concessions. On average, cash buyers save 11% over finance buyers. So if you're in the market to buy a home and you're getting a loan, let's connect first. We may be able to turn your financed offer into a cash offer and put the power of cash to work for you. I love it. So simple, showing you have something different. It's not the same messaging. It's not explaining what a down payment is. All of that. It is truly giving something fresh and unique to the marketplace that other agents simply don't have access to. All right, and the third video script for you here is seller focused. And why I thought this was cool is because we know that sales take a little bit of a dip in October, in November. And because of that, you have folks that need to sell, maybe open to looking at other options. I believe you should be giving a Zoodealio option to all of your clients. Here's why, is because we can't just assume what their top motivator is. We continually look at the data that shows that the time matching equation, which is that, hey, I want to sell and I want to sell quickly, or I want to sell and I want to sell within this specific parameter of time, that continually remains supreme in sellers' minds when they're selling their home. And because of that, I think it is important that we make sure we're putting the messaging to the marketplace that lets them know they have other options. The traditional way of selling real estate isn't the only way. And so this is a seller-focused video script. You may be surprised at how elections impact home sales. Typically, we see a seasonal drop of about 9% in home sales in October and November months. But in election cycles, it's even greater at 15%. If you're looking to sell now, make sure you explore all your options, including cash offers and leaseback programs. Let's connect today. So again, just leading with a tidbit of information on how elections impact that real estate market, and then weaving in your value proposition, which is come see all the offers and options. You're doing yourself a disservice if you don't, and then just inviting them to connect with you. Again, as I mentioned, you could take any of these. You could use this as a video script. It could just as easily be a text message, a Facebook message, an email. But I also want to show you that you got to get your database ready. If you've not already added on Blast to Zoodealio, you really ought to consider doing that, because here soon, probably in the next couple weeks, you're going to see a complete glow up of our report. And our new home report is absolutely incredible. It is AI powered. It gives them their home value. It gives them their cash offers. It gives them their rental insights. It gives them the ability to calculate their should I rent, should I sell, and gives them a 1 and 2 and a 3-year outlook on what renting versus selling would look like. It gives them their short-term rental data. It is so stinking cool. One of the hardest things that we've produced here at Zoodealio, that we've created. It has taken months and months of time, energy, effort, expertise. And did I mention it is AI powered? So we have a direct integration with OpenAI right through the platform. That home report will literally be a resource that your sellers can use, ask questions, digest information. The best part of all is anything they do with this home report gets reported back to you, so that if you have a database, let's say you've got 500 people and they're all receiving this report, you are going to know who's engaging with what, so that you can make the appropriate follow-ups, and no more guessing over who to follow up with or what to say. Now you have the resource and the tool to really hit them with exactly what they're doing, and kind of have that big brother type hovering over them, but giving them exactly what they want. And that's insights and information about their home, so that they can make the best decisions. So wanted to just let you know that is coming soon. Get your databases ready. Here at Zoodealio, if you do want to join Blast, we're happy to upload that database for you. It is fairly simple. In your backend, you can upload your CSV file. But again, we're happy to do it for you. If that's something that you would like us to do, just let us know. Let's go out there and get our unfair share of the market while everybody else is freaking out. Let's be focused. Let's take action. Let's do big things. I mean, the real estate world is your oyster, I believe, now more than ever. As always, if there's anything we can do to serve and support you in your business, please let us know. Appreciate you, and have a wonderful week.